everybody, welcome along to episode 102 of Percussion Discussion. As always, I'm going to ask you to please check out our social media. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and of course, our world famous YouTube channel, where you can find all of the conversations, past and present. You'll find video with these two, obviously. Please take a second to subscribe. This way, it means you won't miss any of the upcoming interviews that we've got, and there are a few of those, so I wouldn't want you to miss them. On to today's guest, a fantastic drummer, and a drummer that has been powering the American alternative metal band Helmet for the last 16 years. It gives me great pleasure to welcome the fantastic Mr. Kyle Stevenson.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, hey, the pleasure is mine, and I really appreciate you doing it. And I have to say a big thanks to our mutual buddy, John Tempesta, for connecting us up. So thank you, John.
Yeah, Johnny.
Yeah, well, he's a good guy. He's helped me out.
He's the best.
He is indeed. So how's things at the moment? Obviously, COVID hopefully is in the background now and out the way. I don't even like saying that word. How's things at the moment? All good?
Well, it's good. Yeah. I mean, like we had an unusually tough time getting started up again. You know, like we had a massive cancellations, as everybody did in the beginning, but then even to like this year and like at the end of last year, we had a bunch of stuff that we were about to do, and then it like last minute, you know, someone would get sick, or like even this year we had a tour that we got 3 shows in, and then Paige and Dan both got COVID and we had to cancel the rest, like 20 shows, you know. So it's been tough, but we finally just finished a tour. We just got home a couple weeks ago of like a 5-week tour with the band Clutch. And also Quicksand and ourselves. And then there's JD Pincus from the Butthole Surfers. He was doing his little solo show, and he opened it up every night. So it was a great tour. You know, everything went off. There was no cancellations. Nobody got sick. It was like we finally made it through a tour. So yeah. I'm hoping that we're heading to South America in the next week. So I'm hoping that we everything goes smoothly with that as well. So we're finally coming out of it, man. We're finally coming out of it.
Is that with the same lineup? Is that the same show that you've just finished now?
No. The South American stuff, that's just going to be Helmet shows. Like, I guess they're billing it as like a best of Helmet kind of experience. So we'll be playing for a while. That was the one thing about the last tour, is like we were supporting, so we only played like 40 minutes a night. And now we're going to get back to doing our normal headlining thing where we're playing for a couple hours every night. So it's gonna be a little more work, but I love it.
No, it's amazing. And you know, touring with Clutch, JD and everybody else who you mentioned, do you like touring as part of a package like that? It must be fun.
It is, you know, because we've done so much recently over the past few years. We've done a lot of just touring where it's just been us, you know, like no openers. It's like an evening with Helmet, and that's great and that's fun, you know, because it's low stress. You have your run of the venues, and you know there's plenty of space for everybody. But it gets a little lonely after a while being around just the same, you know. Like it's nice to be on a tour with other bands because you can mix it up with, you know, meet other people, and you can just kind of, it keeps it a little more interesting, you know. Yeah, as long as everybody gets along. Which on that last tour it was amazing. There wasn't one jerk off in the whole group. You know, everybody. All the crew, all the band members, everybody was just great, and no egos or any kind of bad vibes at all. So that was really pleasant, really nice.
Yeah, and I guess doing 40 minutes in a support slot scenario is quite different to the 30th anniversary tour you did in. I guess it was the year before lockdown, wasn't it? I guess 20.
It was 2019. Yeah, we did. It was the 30th anniversary. We did 30 shows in the States and 30 shows in Europe, and we played 30 songs every night, at least 30 songs every night. So that was a grinder for sure. So the last 2 tours we did a thing with Korn in a couple weeks with Korn back in June, or no, it was in August, and that was also, you know, like a 45 minutes. So the past 2 runs we've done have been in support roles, which is fine. I love doing that too, but because you get in front of some other crowds that maybe you wouldn't really get in front of. So But yeah, it'll be a little bit of an adjustment getting back to playing the 2.5 hour shows, but that's all right. We're primed and ready after this last tour. We got a good momentum going right now, so I think we'll be just fine.
I'm talking personally now. Do you, because the difference is quite a lot, isn't it, for 2.5 hours from a 40 minute?
Oh, big time. Yeah, yeah.
Do you have to do much work? Do you have to do much shedding yourself to get back into shape drumming wise, or are you pretty much there all the time?
I kind of keep myself there as much as I can, like I've found that if you stay ready, you never have to get ready, So it's like I used to just take long breaks in between tours, but I think since the lockdown and everything, I started playing my drums more just because I had nothing else going on, and I needed some way to stay sane. So I kind of got into a routine where I take my daughter to school every morning, and then I go to my studio, which is like a mile away, and I just play for a couple hours every morning after I drop her off at school, and I just kind of that routine has just kind of carried me through. So it's still, there's no substitution for a live show energy wise. So even when I practice, or I don't necessarily go as full out as I do during the shows, but the hands are the most important thing, and I keep my hands nice and ready so that they don't get all beat up. And
Sure.
I definitely noticed it on the last tour. My hands stayed, they never got wrecked, all my calluses were firmly in place, so it's good. I like to stay ready, so whenever something comes up, I don't have to scramble to try and get my brain right or my body right. I'm already there.
So what, take us into your practice room now, into your studio. Do you run? Do you run helmet songs, or do you just play whatever
I
you want to play?
usually, it depends on how I'm feeling for whatever day, but I'll get down there and I'll warm up. I have a bunch of exercises that I'll do to just kind of warm up, and then once I get my hands going, then sometimes if I'm feeling it, I'll just kind of turn the metronome on and just kind of go wherever it takes me. And sometimes I'll just play along to, if I have a song in my head that I've heard that I wanted to jam along with, I'll do that, or I'll put an album on, or sometimes I'll just hit shuffle and try and keep up with whatever's thrown my way. That's kind of a good way to stay fresh too. So it's a little bit of everything, sometimes. And then, when shows are coming up, obviously I'll run some helmet songs that we don't necessarily play all the time. Like there's the standards that I can do in my sleep, but then there's some other deeper cuts that I need to brush up on. So I'll do that. But for the most part, I just I don't dive too deep into the helmet stuff, because I've been in the band for 16 years. It's all up there. And sometimes the more I try and think about it, the more jumbled it gets. Whereas if I just go, just start, it all comes back to me, the muscle memory and everything. So yeah.
So all good, excellent. Well, look,
yeah.
As well as helmet, you've got I don't know, is it classed as a side project? I don't know, but you attempt.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, it would be considered a side project, I guess.
Yeah, it's always difficult to know what to call it when you're a member of an established band. Is it just another band, or is it disrespectful to Helmet to say? I don't know. It's one of those.
No, it's not. There's no. I mean, we're all free to do whatever we want to do. All of us have other things going on. So yeah, it's just another band that I'm in. It's great. It's been really good for me creatively to have another outlet, to express myself, because helmet is helmet. It's an established thing, and there's like kind of parameters, so loose parameters that you kind of stay within. And with the Temp Survivors, there's a little more freedom for me to kind of do some other stuff that maybe I wouldn't necessarily try out in helmet.
Sure. And it is a very musically, it's quite different, isn't it? Which is
definitely
a good thing, And it's
for sure.
Have you got any more material on the way at the moment? Because there's not a lot to sort of get hold of at the moment, is there, material?
Yeah, we just finished a record. We did a record in July. We recorded a record with Jay Robbins from Jawbox. I don't know if you're familiar with the band Jawbox, but Savory. Yeah, absolutely. Savory, yeah,
I know.
Yeah, so Jay's a great producer. He's done a bunch of records for all kinds of folks, and he's got his own studio in Baltimore. So we all of us in Attempt Survivors, we all live in different cities. We're all scattered throughout the country. So we all met in Baltimore in July for a week and did a record with Jay, and it turned out amazing. It was actually the first time we had all been in the same room at the same time, you know. So that was wild. It's kind of a different way to do a band, but I'm really happy with how the record turned out. It sounds great. We got 10 songs, and it's all done, mastered, mixed, and everything. So we're just trying to find a home for it, you know. And we're kind of in the process of doing that. We might even end up putting it out ourselves, but we you know, we want to keep the momentum going that we have from, you know, we released that 7-inch back in May, I guess. So we want to kind of, we don't want to wait too long before we get this record out there, you know. So
Sure.
But yeah, there's a whole bunch more material ready to get to waiting years, you know. Hopefully we'll figure something out here by the end of the year, and at least have a plan, you know.
Yeah. Is this something you intend to tour, or is it more of a project?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on if the right thing came up. You know, we're all. I think I'm the only one in the band that's got, like, you know, the other band that's like really still active. Like, everybody's been in other bands, but all the other guys kind of, you know, we all have kids and jobs, you know. So it's like, I don't know how realistic a lot of touring would be, but we definitely want to do some shows and, you know, see where, you know, see what happens. If there's an opportunity that arose that we could take advantage of, I'm sure we would try and make it happen. But it's not like we're going to be going out for months at a time, you know, touring, unless, you know, who knows, unless something crazy came up. But I don't think that's not the goal. It's just kind of just to get this music together, and, you know. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what the future has in store for us.
And as far as the songwriting goes, you obviously you're in different cities. Do you do it remotely? Do you kind of, are you sending stems to each other and going, well, how about this? Or
It's a little bit of that. There's Adam Marino. He's kind of the guy who hit me up. We started writing songs together years ago, and he didn't have a bass player or a singer. So it was like Adam and I he lives in San Diego, so he would drive up here, and we would get together in my drum room and just kind of work on stuff. And then we got Matt Kane, who I used to be in a band with years ago called Big Collapse. So he's doing the lead guitar. So it was like the three of us had these songs, but we didn't have a singer or a bass player to do it. So we recorded songs like years ago, and then they just kind of sat there. And then Adam found Josh, our singer, and he's playing bass too. Now, we had a different bass player, this guy Eric from this band Life and Times, but he just had a kid. He couldn't really commit time to it. So now it's just the four of us. And yeah, so Josh sometimes will fly down from Portland, and he'll fly to Adam's house, and then both of them will drive up like for a day, and we'll just spend a whole afternoon or a whole day in my studio just kind of working on stuff. And then the rest of it gets sent back and forth, you know, by email. We'll send ideas, or, you know, we'll send it out to Matt, and he'll put his guitars on it, and then we'll get it back, and it's kind of working like that too. So it's definitely, yeah, we've never all really jammed together at the same time. It'll be like a couple of us here, where Josh and Adam will just get together and work on stuff, you know. So it's kind of, yeah, a little bit all over the place, but it's working.
so did you get to play live together in the studio, or was it done, you know, was it done old school?
No, it was done. Yeah, we did the drums. Adam played his, you know, like scratch guitar along with me while I did the drums. So that was kind of weird too, because like I had never jammed any of these songs with bass, so I didn't know what the bass was going to be doing, or I didn't really know vocally what was going to be happening. So that's a challenge to, you know, keep it interesting and like interacting with those other elements. But all in all, I think it turned out great. but yeah, we didn't get to, all of us didn't play together at the same time in the studio. We were in the same room, but we weren't all playing at the same time.
Oh,
So
it must be frustrating wanting to just get the whole sound, everything
it
there and doing it.
it is. We'll get there. We were talking about doing some shows in the springtime next year, so it'll eventually happen. It just hasn't. Yeah, it's weird. It hasn't happened yet. It's kind of, we're working backwards in
Oh,
a way, but it's kind of the newer. I mean, we're not the only ones doing it that way these days. Technology is allowing us to get away with it. So
yeah. Oh, well, that's good. Well, fingers crossed that you get to do some.
yeah, thanks, man.
Um, hey,
I
look,
really just want this record to come out. I want everybody to hear the record. I'm really proud of it, and I
so
want it to
I
be
guess
out there.
there's no date in mind at the moment. It's just waiting to see what happens with it, I guess.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, we're shooting for early next year, or like at least before summer, to have something out. Like, but yeah, we're still trying to work out who's gonna put it out, or if we're gonna do it ourselves. We're talking to some folks right now, but nothing has solidified yet. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I wish I had a concrete date to give you, but I don't.
Oh, well,
So
soon, let's hope it's soon anyway, and we can
yeah, thank you. I hope so
hear it.
too.
Cool. Well, look, let's do the let's do the very cliched thing of going back to the beginning.
Sure.
What's your first memory of music, if you like, rather than drumming at the moment? What's first
Sure.
memories of music for you?
First memories of music are, well, my dad. I have my dad to thank, definitely, for music, for giving my love of music, because he was always playing, music all the time. My dad and my uncle both played guitar, and they would play together sometimes at like family gatherings. And but my dad was a really big, or still is a really big, Billy Joel fan.
Mhm.
So my first memories of music are kind of Billy Joel stuff in the car, or so yeah. Liberty DeVito kind of indirectly was my first, I guess, influence. It kind of got me turned on to music and all that. And then, I mean, I know this sounds kind of silly too, but watching the Muppet Show as a kid and seeing Animal, that definitely, that got me fired up and made
Yeah.
me want to play drums. Like, I remember looking in like the whatever J.C. Penney catalog for Christmas and seeing the Animal drum set, and I always wanted that. Ever since I was like 5, that's what I wanted. But my parents were like, "No, no, you're gonna do piano instead, or you're gonna play cello, or it's like everything but the drums." So
Yeah, proper instrument.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They didn't want to hear all that racket, but so yeah, I guess I would say that's how I got turned on to music, was through my dad always playing different stuff. Billy Joel and all kinds of other
Yeah.
classic '70s rock stuff like that. So
And
yeah,
let's be honest,
that's how it started.
there's worse drummers to listen to than Liberty DeVito,
Oh,
who's
I love Liberty,
great
man. He's
and
great.
a hard
Yeah,
hitter as well. He takes
yeah.
prisoners.
Well, he can do it. He can switch seamlessly from styles too. Like, there's a song called Stiletto, I think it's called, and they segue into this jazz thing, and he just comes, like, he does it seamlessly and comes right back. He's just, yeah, he's definitely, he's one of my favorite players. I just read his book too. He's got a pretty good book out
Oh,
right now.
I'm halfway through it. Well, Lib was a guest on the show. Oh gosh,
Was he?
probably
Nice.
I don't know 70 odd episodes ago, and he was
Yeah,
really great. So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah,
it's a
he's
great
he's
book.
fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So how soon was it before you got into did you get lessons or did you get your
No, I
your
never,
mentor?
I never had lessons. I taught myself. I basically wore my parents down. Like, I kept asking and asking and quitting all the other instruments that they were trying to get me to do. And I bought myself just a pair of drumsticks from like the little music store in my town where I grew up, and I would just beat them on my bed and pillow, the classic pots and pans and pillows and magazines kind of thing. And my parent, I think they saw that I was, kind of actually serious about, or like had actually a drive to do it. So my mom finally, for my 14th birthday, my mom finally gave in and like rented me a really cheap drum set from the music store in our town. I grew up in a really small town in Wisconsin, so
Okay.
yeah, there wasn't a lot around, not too many options. So yeah, I got a Percussion Plus little 5-piece kit with, I think, a hi hat and one crash cymbal. And my mom rented that. She's like, well, we rented for a few months. We'll see if you stick with it, then maybe we'll buy it for you or whatever. So yeah, it was the summer I turned 14, and I just kind of hit the ground running, and yeah, it was incredible. I just started playing along to all my favorite, trying to play along to all my favorite stuff. That's right around the same time that I had discovered Rush and Neil Peart, so he was definitely one of my early influences and teachers. I'd learned through just listening and watching him and trying to figure out all those crazy songs. And yeah, so that's where it started. 14 years old, and I just taught myself. I never had proper lessons until like way later, like a few years ago. I did a few lessons with a friend of mine who taught me just some exercises and how to read and stuff like that. So I have those, finally developed those tools a little bit. But it was all the first whatever 20 some years of my playing was all just by watching and listening and trying.
There's a lot worse ways to do it than that, isn't there? Let's be honest. You can,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if I would have taken lessons, it might have turned me off, and then I wouldn't have stuck
yeah.
with it. Who knows? But whatever I got here, I made it this far, so it's worked out all right, I guess.
So what happened with the Percussion Plus kit? Did it ever go back, or did you end up buying it?
No, they bought it. They bought it for me, and I had it. I ended up trading it for a sweet kit that I still have now. This old Ludwig, like 70s Ludwig standard, like little jazz kit that's like got the yellow and black like wood grain finish, and it's a beater, but it's at that kit. I was like, I wanted, after a while, I'm like, I don't want Percussion Plus. I want a real drum set, like something that with a name that people know. So but I think Neil might have been playing Ludwig back at that time. So whatever he was doing, I wanted to do. So yeah, I had an opportunity to trade up, and I did. And I still have that kit, but I don't know. I don't know where the Percussion Pluses are anymore. They're probably long gone.
Do you care?
Yeah, not really. Yeah.
The thing is, well, I've heard about a few people on these that rented kits, and I dread to think of the state they would have been in if you'd have given them back in, and what
Yeah, right.
the next poor kid would have got. It's like,
Yeah, well, I can't imagine after renting it for like a year, you probably would have paid for the thing anyway. They couldn't have been too expensive, those cheap tubs, but they got me started. I kind of wish I had them just for nostalgia's sake, just to say there's the kit where I started this whole journey.
yeah, I think we're all the same with that. I mean, I regret most things I sell. I'll be honest, along the way.
I know it's so hard to let go of stuff, right?
It's a drummer thing, isn't it? You go, I wish I still had.
Yeah.
Why did I sell it? It was so good.
Yep.
I can name at least 10 drum kits now straight off, but that's
Wow.
we'll always
Damn, you even had 10 drum sets. That's impressive, man. I don't. Where do you keep them all?
not at once. Just
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I think I have. Oh gosh, what have I got now? 1, 2, 3. I've got 5. I think in total.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now too. It's just like I don't have a big house to keep them all in, so I have a Yamaha kit that I keep over at my buddy in his garage, and he loves it because he's got a studio. So I know it's in a safe place, in a good place, and he can play them whenever he wants. So it's kind of it's a win-win for both of us,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good to have a little bit of variety anyway, and I don't think my wife would let me have any more than 5 at once. She just
Yeah, for sure. No, they're
doesn't
always
know how
trying.
many snare drums I've got, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, that's some secrets are better left, that way.
So I assume 14, 15, you're heading towards your first band pretty rapidly. Am I right?
Yeah, I think I got my first band, my first serious band, right at the end of high school. So I think I was 17, maybe. There was some guys that were in a band, and that I like I had a study hall or something with them, and they told me about this band they were in, and I went to see them, and I was just like, oh my god, these guys are like, they're doing what I want to do. So I was just Jones, and I'm like, I gotta get into this scene with these guys and start doing this, and then their band broke up, and I was like, perfect, let's start our own band. And so we did, and did the whole kind of high school band thing, did parties and some like school gatherings and all that kind of stuff, but recorded all our own demos and all that. But then I went to college, and the band kind of broke up. But we actually, the three of us did end up we moved to LA together, but we didn't, the band didn't really survive. But that was, it definitely started in my late teens, was the first like serious band I got in.
Was the plan always to be a drummer? That's what's going to be the job, is a drummer. Was that always the thing in your mind?
No, I mean, not always in the back of my mind. It was like the dream that I always wanted to follow. But I moved to LA actually to go to film school. I wanted to be a cinematographer. And so when I first got here, that's what I was doing. I was going to school, and then I just kind of, after doing that for a year, I got really turned off with the whole film industry and just the whole world in general. So I was like, well, I'm gonna switch gears. And then I met some guys. I used to work at this skate shop on Melrose, and I met some guys there that were in a band, and they needed a drummer. And so I started in I think it was 97. I moved here in 95, and in 1997 is when I got my first band called Flashpoint. And we ended up actually touring on Ozzfest back in 1999. We were unsigned, and we somehow got on Ozzfest on the second stage and did that whole madness. So that was my first tour ever, was Ozzfest in 1999. It had the original Black Sabbath, which was incredible. I mean, like that was enough for me, but also Slayer and Primus and Deftones, and it was an incredible bill of bands. So that was pretty wild to have my first tour be that experience, and then of course
with an
just went all downhill.
An unsigned
band. we got signed like halfway through the tour. So yeah, it was wild, man. That was a great experience. Wow. And then that band, we put a record out. The record did nothing, and that band broke up a couple of years later. So that was, but it was a great experience. Had a lot of good times there, and you always remember your first tour, whether it's good or bad. And luckily, mine was pretty amazing.
Doesn't get much better than that, really.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was kind of starting up there, and then I'm like, like the rest of the guys in the band were kind of, I think it kind of got to their head a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, we deserve to be doing all this cool stuff." I'm like, nobody knows who we are. Like, we lucked out with this, and So after that, the tours kind of dried up, and there's a whole other story to it. But yeah, it was great while it lasted. I'll always have a fond place in my heart for that experience.
Incredible. Yes, I just can't imagine that.
I think that's actually, I met Tempesta on that tour actually, because he was playing in Zombie with Rob Zombie, and they were on the tour as well. And Rob, or Blasco from Zombie, was friends with one of the guitar players in my band, this guy Dave, and so he would come out and like sing us. We did this Misfits cover, and he would come out and sing it with us sometimes during that tour. And then I met Johnny through Blasco, so yeah, that's kind of another little interesting connection from then. Yeah.
So how did the helmet thing come about then? Because obviously, at that point, would it have been John Stanier at that point still?
No, Stanier was gone. They broke up. The original lineup broke up in '97, I think.
Yeah. And
then Page reformed the band in 2000, I want to say 3 or 4 maybe. So Tempesta was Yeah. He was that's actually how I got in touch with Page, was through Johnny and his roommate Billy. Excuse me. I worked with Johnny's roommate Billy. We used to work on like TV shows and stuff, doing sets and all that. And so he heard that Page was looking for a drummer. This is back in 2006, like summer of 2006, I think. And so Billy's like, "Yo, you want to try out for a helmet?" And I was like, "Well, sure, why not?" I love the band. John was always a huge influence on me, at that, through my my intermediate years, and so yeah, I was like, what the hell, I'll give it a shot. I know I know a bunch of songs, and I love that vibe and all that. And so I had I called Paige. Yeah, he set up an audition, and I learned. I think he had me learn like 4 songs, maybe 2 old songs, and they had just put a record out called Monochrome then. So he had me learn two songs off of that record that were really fucking difficult, like crazy. Yeah, those were like the test songs, like I could tell he put them in there because they're very difficult, all kinds of weird changes and all this time signature stuff. And so I did those, and it went well enough to where he asked me to come back for another audition. And yeah, every time I showed up, there was always a guy leaving, and then when I was done, there was always a guy waiting to get in there. So he was trying out a lot of folks, and I got the gig. I did, I think, 2 or 3 auditions, and he was recording them all too. So that was kind of a little nerve wracking. I was like, oh shit, he's recording this. I'm like, ew. All right, well, what the hell? Just go for it. And yeah, it worked out. We had a good vibe. I mean, having the 2 kind of friends in common, like, he knew Johnny, and I was friends with Johnny and Billy, so that helped kind of break the ice a little bit.
Yeah.
And but yeah, he liked my playing enough, and I got the gig.
And I guess it helps, as you say, you knew Johnny, and
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure Paige would have said, what's he like as a guy? Drumming's no problem, but what's he like?
Yeah,
It's important,
yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely. It's very important. I mean, if you can be a great player, but you can be a total jerk off, or just not be able to get along with other people. And there needs to be some kind of personalities melding, or else that's not going to work. It'll work temporarily, but for 16 years, I don't know if it would last. Like you gotta actually be legitimate friends. I think, to make it last that long.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but
Must,
yeah, having the Johnny connection definitely helped break the ice for sure.
yeah. It must have been an amazing feeling when you got the gig, though. You've taken the chance coming to LA, and finally it's clicked into place.
Yeah, it was, and the way it all happened was so kind of just random. Like, it wasn't like I was out there really looking. I was just I had just been in a band called Big Collapse, and we had toured our asses off and worked really hard, and it didn't go anywhere. So I was a little disenfranchised, and I was just, it couldn't have come at a better time. And yeah, I was surprised, but I wasn't, because I guess I never really was nervous about it. I was just kind of like, what the hell? Like, what do I have to lose? If I get it, cool. If I don't get it, cool. No sweat. And so I think having that attitude kind of maybe helped me a little bit. Not get too nervous about anything. I don't really get nervous anyway in general. At least when it comes to playing.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
So obviously you've come in 2006. Now,
Mm-hmm.
is it slightly frustrating coming in after a new album's been recorded, when you think, I could have done that album? Does that play on your mind
I
at all?
don't. No, I don't think so, because I didn't really know. No, I didn't. I don't think I ever really thought about it like that. I was more just happy to
Yeah,
have the gig, and just hoping that I would get a chance to record on a record at some point. Like I never, when I joined, I didn't know how long it was going to last, or if it was going to last a year or a couple of years, or because there wasn't like anything really lined up when I joined. We he was kind of rebuilding the band again at that point, so he found me. And he asked me if I knew any bass players or guitar players. And so I recommended my friend John Fuller, who I had been playing music with for, we moved to LA together, and we've always been playing music together. He was in that first band I was telling you about. So we had been playing music together forever. It was kind of a no-brainer to recommend him. And so he got the gig. And then we were still trying to find another guitar player. And then Paige found, I'm not sure how we found Jimmy, but he found this guy, Jimmy Thompson, this Australian guy, and he got the gig. And so that was the first lineup when I joined, was us 4. And then, there was nothing really lined up. And then our first tour with Helmet was opening for Guns N' Roses, actually, which was crazy in itself, because that's another thing that just dropped out of thin air. Like it was right before December in 2006, and it was like a Monday or like a Sunday. Like, hey, we got this offer to do these a couple weeks with Guns N' Roses, and then by that Friday, it was the first show of that tour. So it was like it just happened all of a sudden. Like I guess there was a band, Eagles of Death Metal.
Yeah.
They were on the tour, and they had some kind of beef with Axl, so Axl kicked them off the tour. So they were kind of scrambling to find a replacement, and we were the ones, and that was incredible too, just to have my first tour with Helmet just in arenas opening for Guns N' Roses. And yeah, that was wild. My first show, we were in Ames, Iowa, and the crowd just all they wanted was Guns N' Roses. They just weren't having it. They did not care about us at all, and they were booing and like throwing fucking water bottles and coins at us and just chanting the GNR. You know, it was like, holy shit, this is amazing. What a amazing first show to have with this band. But I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. So it was a great tour. That was another wild experience for sure.
Oh dear me. I tell you what, when you've got something like Ozzfest under your belt, though, that's got to help, hasn't it, to do a tour like that? You know,
yeah. I mean, a little bit. It had been so long
in
between those two tours. You know, I guess 7 years. But yeah, definitely having that experience definitely helped. No doubt about it. You know, all the touring experience and all the shows leading up to that point helped. You know, just kind of. And when you're in an arena like that and it's like all dark, like you can't really see the crowd anyway. Like, you know, they're out there, but you can't really see them. So it was like almost like kind of, it was like you're just playing on a stage, you know, until things start whizzing by your head like water bottles and stuff.
I'd have been collecting the coins up at the end.
Yeah, I know. I should have. Well, I should have done that.
Oh dear, amazing! I mean, what an introduction to the band. That's just
yeah, it was pretty amazing for sure. And then we started doing our own tours and kind of obviously not on that same scale, but it was great. We did a lot of touring in those early years, and then kind of had some turnover with. Then we found Jimmy left the band in I want to say 2008, and we got Dan Beeman, who's been playing with us ever since then. So he's been amazing. He's been kind of he's just a super solid player, and I mean he can rip in his own right, but he's just doing rhythms in this band. But he's amazing. Yeah. He's got it all. And then John left the band in 2009, and we got Dave Case, who's been playing bass ever since 2010. So this lineup has been together since 2010. So we've got a pretty good chemistry thing going on, So yeah, I can't imagine. I wouldn't want to do any other changes with people. Like if one of us were to leave, I don't think I wouldn't want to keep going. This is it. This is the lineup that I want to do this with. And if any of it changed, I don't think I'd want to do it anymore.
Sure. Did you find it musically difficult when one bass player leaves and a new one comes in? Because they're never quite the same, and you wouldn't want them to be the same. But
no, I mean it was an adjustment too, and obviously there was some personal stuff along with it as well. Because John was one of my best friends at the end, so it was weird. Like I had kind of there was the whoever the new guy was going to be. It was going to be there was going to be a period of adjustment, and I was going to probably be a jerk to him for a little while just because of the whole thing. But Dave was he was hands down the best guy we auditioned, and he was he's a New Yorker, so he kind of talks a lot, or he used to anyway, but there was an adjustment there. But his playing is the best, and so it wasn't hard to get used to playing with him because he's a great player, and we just kind of musically we had a good bond right away, and it just took a little longer for the friendship to grow, but now I love the guy. He's my guy.
Good. And how you must have been pretty keen to get into some songwriting. That must have been something you were waiting to get into, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we did a record actually right before Dave joined in 2010. We put a record out called "Seeing Eye Dog,"
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah.
and yeah, so that was the first record I got to do with the band, and that was awesome. Like Paige and I did a lot of arranging and stuff together before we would give the songs to the other guys to learn. So we did a lot of that. Was my first opportunity to be writing music with them,
Mm.
and then. Yeah, for the 2016 record, for Dead to the World, we did a lot. It was a little bit different. We kind of did that record in chunks. We did like 5 songs at
Yeah.
this session, and then we'd go on tour and then come back and do like another however many songs. So that one was kind of spread out, but it was cool. It was a different experience, but just as rewarding. And I ended up getting writing credit on a bunch of the song or a few of the songs anyway. So yeah, it was great. I was always, when I joined the band, I'm like, I hope I get to be on a record at least
Yeah.
once, and try and put my little mark on it, So
Sure.
yeah,
I mean,
we were averaging about a record every 6 years.
there's no rush. I mean,
Yeah, no,
recording an album in chunks, for example, 5 songs here, then off. Is
yeah.
it hard to keep the motivation going when you do it like that?
I don't think no, it wasn't because it was just the way like we were doing a bunch of touring, so it would just kind of worked out that way. And actually, being on the road and then coming off tour and going right into the studio is actually really good because everybody's a well-oiled machine. Everybody's playing at tour level, so it kind of makes it easier to perform. I think in the studio as opposed to just going in cold, after whatever a break of not doing anything. So
Yeah.
I didn't have any. I don't remember any kind of trouble staying focused or anything like that. It was just get in, and it was a little easier because you only had so many songs to worry about. Instead of like 10 or 12 songs, you're only focusing on 4 or 5. So it made it a little more easy to digest.
Sure. But I love the song "Seeing Eye Dog" is one of those songs.
Oh yeah,
It's such a cool song, and the fact that when you listen to it, my brain almost goes, "Oh, this isn't a strange time signature," but it's not, is it?
yeah.
It's Page's
No,
guitar that just kind of it's almost
it's the way
it's
the
an
guitars
illusion.
are playing. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's what a lot of the Helmet stuff is like that, where it sounds like it's in a crazy time signature, but really it's just the way the guitars are working off the drums. A lot of times the drums are just in like 4/4, but the guitars are doing something else to make it sound all trippy. Especially if, yeah, seeing Eye Dog, I'm playing it pretty straight. I'm
Yeah,
not really doing anything, and it's just the way the rhythm, the guitar riff, how it kind of weaves in and out of that. So yeah, it tricks you. It tricks the
it
ear a
really
little
does,
bit.
'cause I just have to kinda switch off from what the guitar's doing and just listen to what you're playing, and
Yeah.
it's like definitely in 4. Anybody
Yeah.
who's watching or listening and doesn't know the song, it's the opening track, isn't it?
It's a
From
second track.
second
Second
track,
track.
sorry. Second
Yeah.
track from the same name, the album with the same name.
Yeah.
And you'll
Yep.
see what I mean. It's really, whoa, it's
Well, especially it starts off with this kind of syncopated weird thing, and you're like, where is this gonna end? How are we gonna get to like the groove part? And then once it kind of falls in, you're like, oh, okay, that's weird. That's different.
it's genius is what it is. I really like it. It's
Thanks, man. Thank you.
it's an illusion, and I love stuff like that. If you can
Yep.
trick your brain into think you're playing in odd times and you're not, that's really clever, and it works
Yeah, thanks, man.
well.
That is definitely a helmet trick. We do that a lot with we're trying to
Sure.
trick you a little bit. See if you're paying attention.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I think so. And then of course, yeah, Dead to the World. Some great songs on there. Life or Death, amazing. But my favorite is Drinking in the Afternoon, definitely.
Oh, drunk. Yeah, drunk in the
Drunk in
afternoon.
the
Yeah, that
Afternoon. I get
that
all the names.
that.
I'm
Yeah, no, that's good. It's the same thing.
yeah, yeah. And it's just
Yeah.
something about it. It's just such a cool album. And
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm really happy with that too. I like that's a fun one to do live. We do that one live quite a bit, and that's got
yeah,
it's fun. There's a lot of space to breathe there.
it's quality stuff. It really is. Yeah.
No, thanks.
So apart from drums and playing, what else is your thing to do? Anything that apart from music that you love doing?
It's not really. Music's just kind of my thing. Like, I
Same.
mean, I like to I like to gamble a little bit on
Oh,
sports and stuff
okay.
like that, and I enjoy. I mean, yeah, I don't really have any other crazy hobbies. Like music is just kind of that's what gets me going the most. So whether it's playing the drums or guitar or piano or whatever, I like to just kind of keep music close to me. So that's kind of what I don't. Other than that, like I'm a when I'm home, when I'm not on the road, I'm just kind of Mr. Mom. I make sure my daughter's take her to school and pick her up and help, all that kind of stuff. So making sure she's not staying out of trouble and all that. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Music is my main thing. I don't really do too much other than that. I'm like I don't play golf. I mean, I like golf, but it's not something I do or any. There's no real other like passionate hobbies that I have other than music.
Sure.
So it's kind of a hobby and a job. It's
Yeah,
just all right.
absolutely. Same here as well. And yeah,
Yeah,
appreciate
I'm
what.
sure there might be some other things but I can't think nothing that comes to mind right now. So it must not be that important.
And
Being a dad, being a good dad, that's my main
that's
focus.
yeah, same here. I've got a 5-year-old and a 5.5-month-old daughter. So I've got
Oh, you got a brand new one, huh?
yeah. So
Wow,
and
that's exciting.
I'm 50 next year, so it's getting too
Yeah,
old for this business.
yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I'm 47, and my daughter just turned 10, so
Yeah,
it's been we're about to get into the crazy teenage years, so I'm not looking forward to that, but
wish
hopefully
you
it won't
luck.
be too bad. Thanks. I'll let you know how it
Yeah.
goes.
Is she musical at all? Is she showing any signs of
I mean, she loves music and she's got a really good ear. Like, I mean, I've been trying to expose her to good music and not like a bunch of the crap that kids listen to these days. So she's like she loves Earth, Wind and Fire and she loves Steely Dan. Like she listens to my kind of music and but she's got an amazing ear. Like she can pick out harmonies and stuff like even with just like regular like music that's on TV, will just be I can hear her just like singing along, and she'll be singing like she'll switch from like the high harmony to the low harmony, and she's totally right there. So
cool.
she's got the ear, and I'm not. We tried to get her to start with piano, and she didn't really vibe with it. So we're just kind of she's an artist. She likes to draw, and she makes her own books and stuff. So that's kind of her passion right now, and maybe music will get in there eventually, but she definitely loves music, so that's a start.
It's a great start. It really is.
Yeah,
And if you think about it, that's where we all started. So
yeah.
there's plenty of time
You
ahead.
got to start. You got to have a love for the music if you want to do this for sure. I'm not doing it for the money, that's for sure.
Money.
Yeah, what's
Oh,
that?
look, Kyle, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah,
And I appreciate you giving your time up on a Wednesday afternoon. It is afternoon for you, isn't it? It's
yeah. It is. It is. It's I don't know what time it is, but yeah, it's afternoon here. What is it? It must be nighttime for you there, yeah.
it is 8:55 in the evenings.
Ah, all right. So it's almost time to pour yourself a little scotch or something, huh?
That will do
Or you've
nicely.
already been doing that?
Not yet, not yet. No,
Yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
Kyle, thank you so much. Honestly,
Yeah,
it's been an
my
absolute
pleasure, man. Thanks for inviting me to do this. It's my pleasure.
total pleasure.
You're an easy fella to talk to.
Thank you very much. Likewise.
Yeah,
So,
man.
wish you all the very best for the future tours,
Thank
recording,
you.
and let's hope the new album is out soon and we all get to hear
Yeah,
it. So,
thank you.
thank you very
All
much.
right. Cheers, man.